Me and the Lord, we got an understanding. We're on a mission from God.
Well, good morning, good people and Eagle fans. Mark Holmes here, of course, with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo back at the Man Cave. But we've got Bucky the Beaver here. And as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. Hope everybody's having a great Saturday. Don't forget, 5 o'clock Eastern, we'll be having our live stream. If you are a channel member, and shout out to all of you. We have so many channel members, and I appreciate the love and the support from all of you great people as we go through another year. This channel is 10 years and 2 days old. I can't believe I've been doing YouTube for this long, but it is amazing. And it has been an incredible journey with highs and lows of the Dallas Cowboys. And I look forward to some highs this year because I definitely saw plenty of lows last year. So we've got Jerry Jones, who is, well, no, hold on, let me back up this up here. Actually, Stephen Jones is talking about the possibility of signing Jadeveon Clowney. Okay, I know I mispronounced his name because I'm a name butcher. That's what I do. Jerry Jones can't keep talking about the past. So we got Stephen Jones talking about the future and about the possibility of signing Clowney. And it may be that, Matt Everfuss kind of said, well, if he's not here this week, it's, save a game check, which is true. You're saving a game check. And maybe that is the foreshadowing that it is almost a done deal and it'll be like next week when he joins. I don't know, but he definitely wants it. Jerry, on the other hand, he can't stop talking about the past. Now, I say that everything has changed as far as Micah Parsons goes. You leave the Cowboys, all of a sudden you're loved. You're loved if you're leaving the Cowboys. And, right now, Micah Parsons is getting holding calls. He's getting praise for pressures. He's getting love like he didn't when he was at the Dallas Cowboys. It's crazy that he seems to be the same player that he was here, but he was always just getting a whole lot of shit. That lets you know that there is truly a bias in what's going on with the Cowboys. But Jerry Jones is falling on the sword of this is going to get Dak Prescott a championship. Let's listen to Rich Eisen a little bit here about his take on it.
This program.
Yes, Richard.
At some point.
The
Micah's been traded from Dallas to Green Bay. He's balling out there, and I can't believe the Cowboys traded Micah to Green Bay. Stuff is going to die down. Mm-hmm. Today, however, is not that day.
Got it.
So not there yet.
Didn't think it would be.
Well, I mean, Micah balled out on Thursday night.
Sure did.
And despite the back, played 29 snaps and 44 snaps. What is that? 78 snaps in the span of 5 days. Right? Did I get that right? No, I didn't.
What was it? 55 and what?
29 and
84. 84.
Whatever. He balled out. Yada, yada, yada. He looked spry. And we're all wondering what I wondered on Instagram, and you said for me to delete this, and I'm not going to.
I know you're.
Is absurd that the Cowboys traded Micah Parsons. Evergreen tweet. Mm-hmm. That's one reason why 2 weeks they're playing the Cowboys on Sunday night. So the whole country's going to be talking about that then. And as I said, at some point it's going to die out.
So we'll delete the Micah soundbite then?
Well, because again,
the page will be turned.
At some point, Jerry Jones on his radio show sometimes would be like telling the guys who were interviewing, he'd lose patience with them, right? Like he was the one who didn't want to jack around with you today or something like that.
I don't have the patience to jack with you today.
Okay. So at some point, keeping on asking him about what's the name of that guy?
Micah.
Okay. He's not going to want to talk about it. But at this point in time, we could still kind of pepper him with it. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you saw. Did you watch the Amazon post game?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah,
Did you hear what the fans were chanting as Micah showed up?
Oh, yeah, Rich, I did.
Chanting, thank you, Jerry.
Thank you, Jerry.
So Jerry Jones today, is this on 105.3 The Fan? Okay. So he's talking Tuesdays and Fridays. You got
Wow.
twice a week with
We
you?
added-
Seems like it's
added a
Monday
day.
through the next Monday, to be honest with you.
All right. He came on today and he was asked, did you hear the thank you, Jerry chants?
The way they're playing, the way Green Bay is playing, then I'm all for them enjoying and chanting anything that they really want to play. And I understand that. You know, this is such a laydown to me with back when we traded Herschel Walker. And I just
Gotta
can't
stop
tell
living in
you
the past, Jerry.
kinds of really not criticism, but naysay when we took what arguably then was by many the best player in the NFL. And we got, of course, future picks, got players and future picks at the same time. And so if you make a move on a top player, this shouldn't surprise anybody that we would have that kind of reaction from their fan base, the other team's fan base, or for that matter, our fan base in general. And I knew this was coming almost the day I walked into training camp. I knew that if I got to make this trade, that this would be there and coming.
Oh, walking into training camp because
So
didn't you say for you to sleep well?
July?
Yeah, I was lied to, I feel like.
No.
Because I was told to sleep tight, night. I ain't slept right.
Don't lose any
Listen,
sleep over it.
what I believe Jerry is saying is he keeps bringing up the Herschel Walker trade, which, by the way, involved 18 players and draft picks.
Yeah, that's why we can't
At the
compare
end of the
it
day,
to Herschel Walker.
initially they traded Herschel to the Vikings for 5 players, 3 draft picks, and additional conditional picks.
And then we cut all the players and
but
got
what
picked.
what he's saying, because obviously this is 1 player and 2 firsts, which is vastly different from yada 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 18 players in all. What he's saying is, at the time, people thought they were crazy for trading their best player, and what ended up happening was a dynasty. So his way of saying is that what's similar, it's not the draft compensation, it's the
Situation.
people think we're nuts. Just sit back and see what happens to us. And we shall.
And he's got time on his side to
This fella, what's his name again?
Maca.
Is coming to town in 2 weeks.
Oh, I hate it. I hate it so much.
It's coming. But one day, as I said, this will not be the incessant topic of conversation. It's just today's not that day.
You don't believe that.
Next week
No.
will not be that week.
As long as Green Bay's winning,
Certainly
it's
won't
going to be
that
the
week.
Cowboys, unless the Cowboys make a major move.
Seriously.
And so when it's all said and done, Green Bay looks to be the one poised to be super this year, Dallas not. But his point is like, hey, judge us when it's all said and done.
Yeah. When we get the 32nd pick in the draft next year?
That's the issue.
Right.
Is that it's damn near a second-round pick, but it's just that comes with a 5th-year contractual control. Unless he trades that first for other picks and then starts to spread this thing
Wrap it
out
up.
in the same way that the Herschel Walker trade did. But there's a long way to wait for that.
Yeah, I know.
There you go.
Oh, my goodness. This is
That's
so
the
long.
fence
I'm
in
gonna throw
Green
up.
Bay.
Awful thank
Hey, made
you.
it all the way to the end. Thanks for that.
Yeah, we
Check
did.
us out every single.
Hey, we already do. We already do, Rich. We love you, man. You're one of the original, ESPN guys when ESPN was gold. So, yeah, Jerry Jones is still living in the past of the Herschel Walker trade, and he needs to step into the future. Now, unfortunately or unfortunately, however you want to look at this, the future is Stephen Jones. And Stephen Jones has been on 105.3 The Fan now twice this week. And I guess this is the way it's going to go. We get Stephen on Monday, Jerry on Tuesday, Stephen on Friday. So, yeah, get used to hearing Stephen. And at some point, it won't be Jerry Jones on Tuesdays. It will be Stephen. And so I want to chime in because he's talking about Clowney in here. I know it hurts your ears. And we've got plenty of time before tomorrow to talk about the Giants in that game. So, bear with us here, but this is kind of important.
Doing really good. How you guys doing?
Man, we're outstanding. How you feeling about your roster after week one? Looked like you were pretty close to the champs.
Well, we like our roster, and I think it's I actually love everything about our team. Let's start with Coach Schottenheimer. I think he's just been outstanding, and of course, anytime you go into your first game with a new coach who's calling plays and a new defensive coordinator, a new special teams coordinator, a lot of new players, there's a lot of unknowns. So, you're never satisfied with losing a football game, but you did see the makings of what this team can be between
he ain't wrong.
Physicality,
He's
their
not
play
wrong.
style, their energy. I think if we continue to build on that, then we got a chance to be a really good football team, and it's going to start Sunday against the Giants.
So much of it comes down to, can you stop the run and can you run? Connor Riley talked about that in part of our draft coverage, months ago now, but I thought you guys took big steps in the right direction with both those things.
Absolutely. I mean, I love our group between Clayton and Connor, what they're doing with that offensive group. It's a young group, I think, with a lot of upside in terms of where they can go as a unit, playing together, executing. I think it's all in front of them. And obviously between Tyler Guyton, between Tyler Booker and BB, you're talking about guys with less than 2 years of experience. And Booker, obviously a rookie. I think as they continue to work together, they're only going to get better. And I like the depth in the line and, feel good in general about the direction with their leadership.
Mm-hmm.
You guys had Jadeveon Clowney in earlier this week. How was that visit, and is the door closed on that, or is that potentially something we could circle back to and get added to the roster?
Absolutely, it's open. We had a great visit with him. He wanted to come in and see what we're about. Obviously, he's the true ultimate veteran, and I think that was a get to know you session. He wanted to get to know what our organization's about, Coach Schottenheimer and his staff, and Coach Whitecotton and Flus. Wanted to see the facilities, get a feel for us. And I think he came away very positive, and we came away, from our get to know you, we came away very positive as well. I mean, I think, after losing Mike, he can do a lot of things to help us. We lost him, but as you mentioned, in terms of running the ball, I thought we did a great job running it, and then stopping the run was the big thing. And other than, Hurt, who's obviously good at making yardage off scrambling, I thought we did a good job stopping it. And then it all started with Kenny Clark in terms of what he's bringing to the table. But to add a piece like Jadeveon, I think could really be helpful to us, and we'll see where that goes here over the next few days.
Hey, Steven, if I can kind of follow up back about, was that just him wanting to visit you guys, or was there something that you guys saw through training camp and then into week one that made you feel like that you needed to talk to an edge?
I just felt like, after we as an organization felt like, anytime you lose a piece like Micah, and don't replace it right away, we certainly added to the interior with Kenny, but we're obviously missing something there on the outside. We felt like that was a strength, in spite of the fact we're losing Micah with the group we have there. But when you have the opportunity to bring a guy in like him, and we did a lot of film work on him, leading up to this, and really felt like he can bring something that can be very helpful to us. I think he's very disruptive. He certainly has production as well. And, it's not like we're going to ask him to go in there and play 60 plays. We want to get, a number of pass rushes out of him every game, and a number of really good plays. And we think he can be disruptive on those and could make a difference if we could figure out how to get him signed and get him on this football team.
Sounds like the Cowboys are the ones chasing.
And you were talking about Guyton just a little bit ago about how he played and stuff. Was it a difficult decision for you guys with Guyton not having a lot of preseason work and Nate Thomas having a pretty darn good camp? Was it pretty difficult to have to make that decision on who started left tackle against the Eagles?
Well, that's a great problem to have, and I 1,000% agree. Nate Thomas had one hell of a camp, and that's what you hope happens when you want a young guy, especially, step up like Nate did what he did. But at the same time, Guyton was having such a special camp and like what he does. But everybody between Steele and Guyton, they need to do their job every week because Nate Thomas is ready to play. He's prepared to play. And as I said, not only do I like her starting five, I love her depth. And, between TJ and, obviously Nate Thomas and Hoffman there at the center position. And then, the other depth we have, Adeniji and that crew. I just like the whole group.
Stephen, you opened the door for me. I'm going to walk through it. How about with Steele? Could we see Nate Thomas maybe working at some right tackle? That give you really a power piece over on that right side.
Yeah, I think, at the end of the day, that's what we want to do with Nate. We want him to be our swing tackle and put pressure on the guys who are starting and, to just continue to get better and play. Now, same time, I think Tyler Guyton and Terrence Steele are up for a challenge.
Sure.
And they're not going to back down, and that's what we like about both of them. And that's why I like our offensive line group as a whole. And but I do think Thomas is going to put pressure on both guys as far as that goes. And certainly the idea is that he could swing at either tackle.
Stephen, what does a guy like Jaden Blue need to do in order to earn his way onto the game day roster?
Well, he started with a great week of practice. That's where it starts. And, unfortunately, he missed a lot of camp. And when you're a rookie, that's difficult, when you miss, some serious time in camp. Is getting your hands around and getting the coaches confident you can execute. But I think he answered the bell this week, and I think he's got an opportunity to be somebody who can really bring some juice to our offense and be somebody that can really help us. And I don't know if it's going to be this week, but if not this week, I'm sure he's going to be pushing. And the other thing he can bring is some juice to our special teams group as well. So we're fired up about that and what he can do for us.
How much did Kenny Clark change fundamentally who the Cowboys are on defense?
Well, I think he just makes – anytime you bring a Pro Bowl-type player, which he is, and an all-pro type player for that matter, and what he brings to the room, the locker room, but also the defensive line front in there with Solomon Thomas, that was a big piece for us. Everybody says, well, could you have had another pick or two? What we were wanting was that interior piece, and that was a big part of that trade. And when we got – to get him along with the 2-1s, which were a big part of the trade, that really kind of made our decision for us, and he's going to make a difference all year.
How about the freaking legs on that guy?
Oh, the guy's built for action. He's built for the interior line in the NFL, which we all know is not for the faint-hearted. That's where, as Jerry likes to say, that's where real football is. That stuff around the edges with the skill guys, it's a whole different sport than what those interior guys do inside.
Jerry was visiting with the media earlier and mentioned it certainly could lead to the team being more aggressive in free agency in the future after the Micah trade. And I know fans are looking like, oh my gosh, look at all the salary cap space we have to play with here, Stephen. Do you envision that also being the case moving forward, or do you guys kind of have this stuff earmarked so far in the future where, hey, we got X, Y, and Z we also need to pay?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's already starting to happen with Bland, and I see it as a combination. I see it as obviously you feel great about getting Bland done. It's obviously been out there that we're working on Tyler Smith. You see a Lepke, which would have been a casualty if you're having to put as many resources as it takes to sign the top guys in the league. It lets you look at it. Improving your unit, Jadeveon Clowney. And,
he's talking still about Clowney.
Jerry says, you're talking about trading one guy who is elite. No one should ever underestimate the fact that we didn't understand that Mike is elite. I mean, he is. But when you start comparing one player to 5, 6 players and what that is, then that starts to make more sense in terms of what we're looking at. But obviously, if you had Micah, you wouldn't be looking at Clowney right now. Obviously, we get a great piece inside and in Clark. So it's starting to add up already what happens when, while you're talking about multiple players versus one player.
Watching the game last night in Green Bay in Week 1, it seems like if the Packers did go on a Super Bowl run, the Cowboys might be the most mentioned team of that game as well.
Well, that's what comes with it, and we understand that. And like I said, certainly Mike is a great football player, and we knew that when we made the deal. But that's part of the business we're in, and we understand that.
Is he firing guys up over there with how he's talking and dancing? And he's got a lot to say, doesn't he?
Well,
yeah, he does have a lot
Micah
to say.
be Micah. We got to worry about the Dallas Cowboys, and it starts Sunday against the Giants.
I like it. Stephen Jones here with you on 105.3 The Fan. Is it a difficult negotiation potentially with Clowney because of his age and injury history and what he's been paid in the past?
Well, all those things are just a part of any negotiation. It's the full body of work's looked at when you decide to pay a player, and with that comes, age, injury. With that comes how disruptive and productive a player is. Those are all things that get factored into where you ultimately come up with a number.
What would you say is probably the biggest misconception that we have from the outside looking in when it comes to these contract talks?
I think just I think the biggest is you can't just flip a switch and think the deal gets done. And there are, they're doing in their mind, they have a process they go through, and there's agents who want to be really slow to trigger and believe that, hey, if I don't get a deal this year, waiting another year, as long as my guy, doesn't have something, catastrophic type injury or something, they're right. Usually the number goes up, and they're just not, they're certainly not intentional to get in there and get something done. And obviously the bigger the contracts, which we've been through lately between probably like no other team, between having two of the top non-quarterback players in the NFL and Dak, those things have a lot of moving parts to it. And
that they do.
I'd say that's probably the biggest thing I hear or see out there, that people just think you can say, okay, we're going to get this contract done today. That's just not how it works anymore. And there's a lot of moving parts to it. And, the timing's got to be right. And, sometimes that takes, time to get things done.
Stephen, we all sit there every week and watch Brandon Aubrey make field goals from the middle of the field, the logo, all day. And I was just wondering, there's not a great history of kickers and negotiations and stuff. Is there something you go off of? Do you have an idea? It seems like a really difficult position to have to pay because of the unknown.
Well, I think the biggest thing is these kickers keep getting better and better, the pool of them. I mean, they're very accurate. They're very good at what they do. More and more, they have most of them have great leg strength. And but, there's always differentiators. Certainly, no doubt that our guy has performed as good as anyone in this business over the last 2 or 3 years. And, there's certainly precedent for those who perform at high levels, and then there's the next level down, and believe me, you get into the finite detail of this stuff, and it's it's certain. Then you got to decide, is that worth it to pay a premium for analytically more yardage, percentage, all the things that would go into a kicker, and those are all things that we'll evaluate when it comes to our kicker.
All right, Stephen, how nervous should we be about this Deron Bland injury? I feel like we're snake bitten here. We can't get him and Bland out there.
I really do think we're going to be fine. You hate it when any injury happens, but it was
you
a
got that
injury
right.
In terms of how he did it. But we feel really good that it's going to be of the short end of the stick in terms of how much time we'll miss. Hopefully not more than a couple games.
Obviously, that's a next man up situation. What makes Reddy Stewart the guy over, say, Zion Childress?
I think it's just, he's done
Reddy's
it.
ready.
He's been with Flus, and, that's where they're comfortable right now. I love Zion Childress, too. I think he's a football player. I think he's a baller. And, I think he'd do a good job as well. And but you're right, it's next man up, and there's a good chance Zion's going to be dressed out for this game and be a part of this. And but we have a lot of confidence in Coach Flus and his staff to get the right guys out there and then get them in the right spot to win the football game.
All right, so that's basically about it as far as Stephen Jones goes. You did get a lot of information, but you clearly see the Cowboys do want to get Clowney signed. You don't constantly, keep talking about him over and over and over and how difficult it is to get it. It sounds like the Cowboys are more wanting and chasing Clowney, and it may be, one, they recognize we may need to get a little bit more oomph out here, but two, it may be we need to do some moves to kind of see what we're doing here. And this is not necessarily the wrong philosophy, because the Cowboys have been very top heavy. We've always had a lot of top players on the roster. We have. And you can go back from Tony Romo and Jason Witten and Dez Bryant and DeMarcus Ware. But the thing is very rarely do we look at our defense and we say, in recent history, that we've got more than one or two really good players on it. In the last couple of years, it's been Micah and D-Law, but D-Law has been kind of nicked up a lot over the time that Micah Parsons has been there. What other and we've got Diggs, okay? But Diggs, you got to look at the last couple of years since his breakout season, he's been injured. And when he was injured, then we had Bland. So generally speaking, we never really have more than two great players on the defense. And when you start going down and you're trying to trade for Jordan Phillips and things like that, or you're getting guys like Hankins that are older and, journeyman players, you don't have that bottom tier or that middle tier of talent. Now, we'll see if this works out, but go back to New England. How many times did you look at the New England Patriots constantly winning Super Bowls? The things that always happened with New England was they didn't pay a whole lot of money for superstars. They had very few superstars on their roster other than Tom Brady and really Gronk. They had a lot of really good players, deep with good players. The other thing is they'd win the Super Bowl and have 12 draft picks the next year because they would use those players that are getting really good and looking to get that big fat check, and they're turning them into great players. And let me give you another example here. When Kansas City traded Tyreek Hill, I don't know what they got out of Tyreek Hill for it. Everybody said they're crazy. How are you going to get rid of a guy like that? Well, what has Tyreek Hill done for the Miami Dolphins besides be a pain in the ass? They ain't won jack. They haven't won a single playoff game with Tyreek Hill there. But Kansas City let him go. They got draft compensation, and I'm going to look this up because I'm interested now. Draft compensation that helped the roster, and they didn't skip a beat. And see, Kansas City, you don't look at it and say they're loaded with superstars throughout the roster. They have Kelsey. They got their outstanding defensive tackle. And they've got, of course, Pat Mahomes. But they have a lot of really good players in between. So we'll see. And unfortunately, it's an argument that the Cowboys can't win this year. You can't win it this year. Every time Micah Parsons gets a sack or a pressure, boy, the Cowboys, they screwed up doing that. This is one of those ones that we'll find out down the road. And if it ends up being that in the next two seasons that the Cowboys, because think about this now. We traded back last year, got Tyler Guyton, who looks like he's getting aggressive. He looks a lot better than he did, and Cooper Beebe. That's a win. That's a win. That is a win. If they do something similar to that and are able to get two starters and then they still have another first-round pick, now you're looking at saying, we can reload a lot of these positions. Maybe because we have two first-round picks, we can let go of one of those high-price guys that we currently have in our roster, or we don't re-sign that high-priced guy, but we have draft compensation to let him go. For example, let's say hypothetically that Diggs, they decide, you know what, Savon Ravel's back in here. We're going to roll the dice. We're going to trade Diggs because he really doesn't want to be here and he's going to be gone after this year. We're going to trade Diggs to get some compensation for him, and we got a first-round pick that we can use to get a cornerback to replace him. You see how you can be really ahead of the game? We can let go this guy, we can save some money, and we can replace him with that draft pick. So now we got this money here. We can use them bringing in another guy. If you had signed Micah Parsons, you got Micah Parsons, but you don't have the cash to be able to deal with the free agents, and you don't have the extra picks. Now, Micah Parsons is working and will work really well with Green Bay because their defense has a lot of good players around them. We could get Micah Parsons, and we could be like we've been the last couple of years without the pieces around them. And I know I sound like I'm trying to sell the shovel the shit, and maybe I am for Jerry Jones. Maybe I am. I'm shoveling the shit for Jerry Jones. But that's how I have to look at it. That's how I can sleep better at night, thinking that maybe this will end up in the long run working out. The only way it's going to work out is you got to be damn good with those first-round picks. You got to be damn good with them. All righty, good people. As always, I appreciate you all. And remember, we are at the whim of a madman.
The whim of a madman.